Friday Night Funkin' is no doubt gonna go down in history as one of the greatest success stories of all time in the gaming sphere. From starting its life out as a simple game on Newgrounds to getting one of the most successful funded campaigns ever. But that's not to say it didn't get there without having a few hiccups along the way, and its own fair share of controversies. So with that, let's dive into Friday Night Funkin'. Well, before we can cover things like the modding scene, we first gotta cover the base game. The base game is inherently simple by design, and that's why it was popular. It's not nearly as complex as some other rhythm games, but it doesn't really need to be. Core gameplay is hit notes at the right time, keep your score high, and try not to miss too many notes. You miss too many notes and your health goes to 0, you lose. It's really simple. But even though it's simple, it inherently works really well. Even its story at the end of the day is pretty simple. It's all about boyfriend trying to bone girlfriend. And yes, they don't have official names. As of yet, anyway. And most of the story just kinda involves girlfriend's parents not liking the fact that boyfriend wants to date her. And so they do everything in their power to completely and utterly destroy him, including hiring a hitman, who as it turns out is Pico from Pico's school, and actually they know each other. Yeah, that got awkward real quickly, with most problems being wrapped up with a rap battle, really. Sure, there are other things like the lemon demon slash monster, but we really don't know that much about him yet, and the story hasn't really progressed that much. But one of the things I have to talk about is it's actually pretty important to Friday Night Funkin' is Newgrounds. Primarily because Newgrounds' DNA is in Friday Night Funkin'. What is Newgrounds, you may ask? It's a little complicated.
It's just a website. How complicated could it possibly be?
Well, Newgrounds isn't really one thing. It actually hosts a lot of things. It hosts images, videos, and even games. Newgrounds was kind of the Swiss Army knife of websites back in the day and was insanely popular for this reason. Many of the characters are Newgrounds characters, such as Pico being from Pico's school, and Take Man being, well, the mascot. But you can also find a ton of other cameos in Week 6, and there's a lot of cameos. Keep this in mind when we talk about the modding scene, as this kind of opened up a whole new thing, as suddenly any character can suddenly be in Friday Night Funkin', and a lot of them were implemented into Friday Night Funkin' in one way or another, but the devs were now at a crossroads. They can either continue development as is, or they can start a Kickstarter and get some money to continue development and speed the process along even faster. They went the Kickstarter route.
Ah yes, because that's never had terrible consequences.
Put a pin in the Kickstarter as it's going to be relevant later, but for now, let's move on to the modding scene. But before we get into the modding scene, I do need to bring up that a lot of the footage is not actually my own, it's actually from Community Game. I absolutely suck at rhythm games, but sometimes I do need footage for this sort of thing. If it's not from Community Game, it will say otherwise on the top of the screen. Link to his channel in the description, just under the flavor text. And if Community Game has a problem with me using his footage, I will demonetize the video myself if it ever gets monetized. Friday Night Funkin's modding scene is, well, kinda complicated actually. In fact, I'm more than likely gonna have to split this into multiple parts, because the modding scene is just that big and that broad. A big reason for this is actually Friday Night Funkin' is completely open source, making it technically the most popular open source game ever.
Is there really that many of them?
Well, there's Super Tux Kart.
Isn't that just a Mario Kart clone, though?
No, it's a Diddy Kong Racing clone. Friday Night Funkin' mods tend to fall under a few categories: campaign mods, versus mods, and overhaul mods. We're not gonna talk too much about the overhaul mods, as there's quite a few of them, and I don't really have too much to say on them. One honorable mention, though, is the minus mod, as it basically makes the characters look like they're actual icons, as well as a couple other additions to the characters, but there really isn't too much to talk about. Let's start with the versus mods, as they're a lot simpler to talk about. There's quite a few of them, actually. Most of them are either OCs or characters from another franchise. These are your versus Witties, Mid-Fight Masses, versus Sky, versus Hex, Smoke 'em Out Struggle, and many more. There are quite a few of them, and I don't have time to really talk about all of them because that would really drag out the runtime. But one in particular I do want to shout out because it's really underrated is Night of the Funky Bot, otherwise known as Versus Lane. It's a really underrated mod with a great soundtrack to boot. Yeah, when I say there's mods based off existing franchises, I mean the popular franchises as well as some obscure ones. I'm of course talking about Among Us. because you can never escape it no matter how hard you try. But you also had OC characters which sometimes had connected lore, and sometimes they even reference one another, really making the whole world feel connected, and that's quite cool, honestly. Hex is especially quite popular. I mean, how can you hate him? He's such a cheerful guy. He reminds me a lot of Mimo when she was young. So young and happy. Where did all the years go?
My company went under.
Alright. Well, like every game that features licensed characters, you also gotta have the creepypasta versions of these characters. And yeah, these mods were pretty popular. And also oftentimes got canned, which will come up a lot. Trust me, you're gonna see the worst of the Friday Night Funkin' community. But the most popular one is Sonic.exe. Or well, the more recent version of him anyway. You know, the one that doesn't completely suck? Yeah, Friday Night Funkin' was also a big reason Sonic.exe came back in the public conscience. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'll leave up to you. But sometimes standalone mods become whole entire campaigns with other characters and everything. Like Agoti and FNF Entity, which I have to say is the third dumbest drama I've seen yet. The second and first will be coming up later. The mod itself was not very controversial, but more the person behind the guy on the internet. Yeah, that's actually what Agoti stands for. A guy on the internet. And what did he say that was so bad? He hates everyone equally. He's not racist, he hates everyone.
Wait, that's it? That's what the drama was all about? I've said worse things to you on a daily basis. That's nothing.
Oh, it gets worse, trust me. But at least at the time I'm recording this, FNF Entity has not fully came out and is mostly still just a demo, and features 3 new characters. But the most important one is the giant lady that everyone simps over, because that's the internet for you. Oh, hello, post-editing Crow here. It's been a while, hasn't it? For whatever reason, my footage kept getting corrupted whenever she came up, and I also could not find the clean image of her in-game to show her actual size, so instead I'm gonna use a gif instead. But trust me when I say she's quite tall. And funny enough, the only clean images I could find of her in-game were mods that make her even taller. And now back to regular Crow. Big woman good make neuron go brrr.
Damn it, you stole my joke.
But there was also a ton of other mods that were really popular, like Mid-Fight Masses, well known for the fact that the main character looks like Neapolitan ice cream. Why does she look like she's made of Neapolitan ice cream? I have no idea. But you also have the way more cooler character of Rub, who speaks in hard bass, and has the objectively best song in the mod. But to be fair, it's kinda hard not to love the Slavic man who speaks in hard bass. That's just a fun sentence to say. But unfortunately, Mid-Fight Masses also had a bit of controversy because the creator got harassed. Keep this in mind, this is very common. And so the creator put in a shitpost character named Sleever. And all this did really was open up the floodgates to more fanfiction characters. Because yeah, Mid-Fight Masses actually has a ton of OC characters, weirdly enough. Why, I could not tell you. But this ultimately did lead to the original mod being deleted because the creator got harassed. Because if you can't tell, it's going to be a trend that the FNF community is the worst fucking thing known to man. I should also point out that there were thick mods. Not just for Sarvente, but the rough, because we need to have true gender equality. And whatever the hell this thing is. But there's a ton of fan spin-offs of this mod, mostly being OCs or HD remakes of it, or the thick mod. But speaking of OCs, we should probably talk about Sky, and the incredibly stupid controversy that came from it. Now, to kind of explain Sky, I kind of need to explain the original creator. Keep it brief, this is someone's fan OC. She's obsessed with boyfriend FNF and wants to marry him. That's just a simple thing, you know? Real harmless OC. So where's the controversy? She's a minor, and the reasoning is incredibly stupid. You see, the mod creator BB Panzu thought since the creator at the time was a minor, that the OC was also a minor, despite the fact that even the creator herself stated that no, she was not a minor, which got BB Panzu in a ton of hot water for being incredibly stupid. You know, there's a reason why a lot of visual novels and other things say all the characters shown above are 18 plus. This is because the internet is going to do what the internet does best.
And what would that be?
Horny posting. It's just a natural fact of the internet. If a character exists, there's going to be not safe for work art of it. That's kind of reason that, oh, that character is actually thousands of years old. It's to avoid any sort of real controversy with this sort of thing. Because inherently making a character a minor is playing with fire. So yeah, needless to say, this was not a very smart decision. And hopefully they will learn not to make this mistake in the future. That's not to say all the mods were inherently look at my cool OC. Some of them were actually comedic and sad at points. Starving Artist and Smoke 'em Out Struggle are notably very sad mods. Especially Smoke 'em Out Struggle as the character actually dies. To quote myself from my very first long form video, let this be a lesson for you, never do cigarettes. And Starving Artist especially is very sad, especially considering, yeah, for some people I'm pretty sure this is a hard reality they live in. Don't worry though, the creator is actually fine. Although like I said, there was also funny mods like Bob's Onslaught, or as it was originally called, Every FNF Mod Ever. Yeah, this mod is basically just one giant shitpost. I would tell you more about it, but all I really need to do is point out Little Man, a song that's over 7 minutes long and is just nothing but shitposting. And you can't forget your Vine Booms and Glass Shatter sound effect on MP4. But there's probably one mod I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for me to talk about, and that's Versus Witty. A simple, harmless mod that had an insanely horrible impact for a time. Kinda like Shrek, actually.
You leave him out of this.
Because on the surface, Versus Witty is a harmless mod meant to be, you know, fun, and it's meant to be difficult. But the problem is the final song, Ballistic. And Ballistic was known as one of the hardest songs at the time, and this started an unfortunate trend. Suddenly everyone wanted to be the hardest song ever, and thus the unholy trinity of Witty, Tricky, and Zardy was born. But then Shaggy showed up and one-upped all three of them. But then Matt from Wii Sports showed up and said, "Hold my sports drink." And this ended up being a horrible trend, as a lot of people were more or less trying to make difficult songs rather than good songs. And this also led to the original creator of Versus Witty removing the mod. And even a mod that had absolutely nothing to do with Versus Witty, Versus Tabby, getting compared to it, and also the creator getting harassed. Because yes, that is an unfortunate thing, and it's frankly stupid.
I hope you get angry about this, because it'll be fun to watch you rage.
Oh no. Not yet. Needless to say, every popular mod creator back then probably got harassed at some point. But the second dumbest drama of them all was the Versus Retrospector drama. Now, if you don't know who Retrospector is, he's a music composer. He did a lot of FNF remixes, and actually is still working on the mod to this very day, despite all the bullshit he had to go through. But what was the drama about? Was it the low-hanging fruit of him being a gay furry? Well, no. It was about this one character. And yeah, something you need to know about this character, and actually all the characters, is they're based off the 7 deadly sins. And guess what this one's is? Lust. Yeah, people are incredibly stupid. And guess what the argument for this one was? This is a kid's game! We can't have these sexual images in this kid's game! Kids are here! They are playing this game and they could see this mod! We have to ban it! Yeah, let me let you in on a little bit of shocking fact. Friday Night Funkin' is not a kid's game. Why are kids playing Friday Night Funkin'? I imagine it has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of kids-safe places are kind of slowly dying out. The only place they have now is Roblox. And even then, that's being invaded by the degenerates. I'll probably talk about this some other time, probably a fireside chat more than likely, because this isn't really that big of a topic for a full video. But yeah, this entire drama is just incredibly fucking stupid. I can't even laugh at this drama, it's that dumb. I could have at least laughed at the fact that haha, gay furry spent $1,000 on an OC mod. Which is also chump change for furries because let me tell you, a lot of those furries are also engineers. But in hindsight, Retrospector himself really did not respond too well, and even he agrees with that. This is exactly why I don't have Twitter. I'd rather not deal with the absolute stupidity of Twitter lobotomites. But that's just the simple versus mods / campaigns. The bigger stuff is the overhaul mods, the things that change everything. There are not many of them actually, and they range in quality as well. Some of them like the minus mod are really cool, but then you have things like soft, On paper, it doesn't seem that bad, but it just kinda ends up being a bit too fanfiction-y for my liking. I feel like this would work a lot better if this was just original characters instead of the F&F crew, because they really do not feel like the same characters. I get that they're supposed to be alternative versions of the same character, but they really don't feel like the same character. Like, Boyfriend in the main universe isn't just this soft twink boy. He's the type of guy to kick you in the nuts for even looking at his girlfriend funny. But if you like the mod, that's on you. I'm not gonna judge you too much. I just personally don't like it because it's a bit too different from the original source material for my liking. And again, if these were completely original characters, I would not care nearly as much. But there's also the HD mod, and also FNF with lyrics, but I'm not gonna talk too much about FNF with lyrics as I kinda don't have too much to say about it. It's a pretty popular trend to add lyrics to the FNF songs already, so it makes a lot of sense. Now the HD mod is, complicated.
What do you mean by this? Doesn't it just give the models HD textures or something?
Well, it doesn't just do that, it also adds new mechanics and new story, which on paper sounds good, except week 4 is 20 minutes long, and that's including dialogue. Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue. Way too much dialogue, actually. Which honestly would be my biggest problem had it not been for the fact that, well, let's just say Mommy Miris kinda acts a little bit too out of character. Last I checked, she was not this much of a freak in the original game. And also, Girlfriend's a little bit more thick than she was in the original, but whatever, I could care less. But honestly, this mod's biggest problem was the fact that there was just too much dialogue. Sometimes you really need to learn to trim things down. I would know I have to do that quite a lot for these videos. But the final overhaul mod I have to talk about is Holofunk. Like a lot of things made by Hololive fans, it's a really high quality mod. If you're a fan of Hololive, I'm sure you'll probably enjoy this one. And because I really didn't have anywhere else to put this, but I do kinda need to bring it up as it's really stupid, that being the community game drama. Yeah, remember him? Well, as it turns out, some other mod showcasers didn't like him very much, and thus decided to start beef with him. This went absolutely nowhere and was just a waste of time.
Just how petty is this damn community?
Oh, you'd be amazed, Mimo.
I'm intrigued.
But with that out of the way, we need to talk about Friday Night Funkin's Dark Age. To talk about the Dark Ages, I first need to bring up Pixbi. Oh, hello, it's Post-Editing Crow again. For some reason, I thought the character's name was Pixbi, but it's actually Pibby. I'm just very dumb. Anyways, back to me.
Isn't that one Adult Swim short that never got picked up?
Yes, actually. For those of you who've never seen the short, learning that Pigby was essentially a pilot for a full series. It was essentially about this corrupting force that's just corrupting all your favorite cartoon characters. And this time it isn't the executives! Yeah, this got insanely popular on the internet, and I'm surprised this never got picked up for a full series. I mean, it was popular, people showed interest, but they just didn't greenlight it. Really weird in hindsight when you think about it. And as a result, a lot of Pixbi mods were made for FNF. And I mean a lot of them. And by a lot of mods, I mean an entire dump full of FNF mods based on Pixbi. And their quality completely and utterly ranged from pretty good to absolutely terrible to just straight up a cash grab. There was a point where it was just nothing but Pixbi mods, and many of the creators just did not care about the source material whatsoever. Just slap something on there and call it a Pixbi mod. Doesn't matter if it's completely and utterly unrelated, it makes money. With only a few of them being exceptions. And while this wasn't the catalyst for the Dark Ages, it was definitely a sign of things to come. Many creators just straight up left the FNF community and just straight up moved on because it wasn't worth it. The community was becoming insanely toxic insanely quickly. If you can think of a toxic fandom, there's a good chance FNF probably rivals it. As a result, many mods ended up being cancelled or half-finished. And also many of the original mod creators ended up removing their mods from Game Banana, which really did not help Friday Night Funkin' as that was pretty much the only thing FNF actually had for a while. As remember that Kickstarter I said to put a pin in? Yeah, there was a bit of controversy with that as well.
A Kickstarter being controversial? How could that possibly be?
Well, the simple answer is they were completely and utterly radio silent and handled it incredibly poorly. For the most part, they were either extremely vague or didn't say anything at all. It also doesn't help we didn't get any updates from any of the creators, no new songs, no new teasers, no new none of that. And thus a lot of people thought the devs just kinda took the money and ran, and probably bought drugs with it. Not really helping was the physical merchandise wasn't exactly handled very well either. They just severely mismanaged even that. So needless to say, things were not looking good, and FNF was seemingly on its way out as well. But there was hope. There was one mod that would rise above it all. One mod that would start the whole renaissance. And it all started with a, "It's-a me, Mario."
It's me, almost.
Mario's Madness is honestly one of the best FNF mods ever created. The amount of time, effort, and passion that went into this whole entire project is absolutely insane. There's a ton of really good songs in this entire mod. Starman Slaughter, It's-a Me, Paranoia, All Stars, I could honestly go on. This mod is essentially just a giant celebration of all things Mario fan content, not just the creepypastas. Or Mario's based on that one creepy image of Mario. You got the Beta Luigi's Mansion screen. You got Coronation Day. You got I Hate You. And you have so many more. Even got an original character in there with Game Boy Mario. Yeah, he's the creator's OC, but he fits in so well you probably wouldn't even notice. There's a ton of creators involved in Mario's Madness V2, and it really does show. The team did a great job and really did bring this whole project to life. Especially since many of the projects before it ended up being canned, yet this was the one that survived. And let me tell you, imagine your first experience to this is seeing All Stars and you get to see Ultra M. You see all this crazy stuff going and it's like, this is an FNF mod? Because yeah, that was my first exposure to Mario's Madness. And needless to say, it got me interested real quick. The amount of passion, effort, and hard work that went into this entire mod is insanely commendable. It is most definitely one step above every other mod that came before it, and it honestly deserves it. This mod single-handedly brought back Friday Night Funkin' from the brink of destruction, and gave a lot of people hope that FNF will one day return to its former glory. And they're even making a deluxe version! Wow, nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh, damn you, FNF community.
Oh, you had your hopes up so high, only to be crushed by the crippling reality.
Yeah, remember how I said that was a #1 stupidest drama? This sticks the cake. Now, one of the composers, Sandi, notably did commissions. And they did commissions for a minor. And now that sounds bad, until you realize that Sandi himself was also a fucking minor at the time. In other words, he got cancelled for being a stupid teenager. Pardon my language, but this is the most retarded shit I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And I have seen some insanely stupid things. Not only did someone get their life ruined, and possibly any and all sources of income taken away because of a stupid drama they did years ago when they were a stupid kid, but on top of that, he got his entire life ruined because of it.
A reminder, the human brain does not actually fully develop until at least the age of 25.
Oh, this genuinely makes me angry. In fact, this entire thing puts Mario Madness Deluxe in a precarious state, as it's probably going to be cancelled now because of a bunch of brain-dead Twitter users. 2,000 years of constant human evolution versus the average Twitter brainlet.
Wow, you're genuinely upset about this. I've never seen you this angry.
Because it's incredibly stupid. This never should have happened, and we lost a perfectly good mod to a stupid Twitter drama, and someone had their life ruined because some dipshit on Twitter brought up the fact that they did something stupid when they were a minor. How about we bring up all the stupid shit they did and see how they fucking like it? God, I fucking hate Twitter. I'm sorry for getting this angry, but Jesus fucking Christ, this whole thing was just so incredibly stupid that it made me genuinely angry. And frankly, you should be too. And let me tell you, it takes quite a bit to get me genuinely riled up. But there was one other mod that completed the Renaissance. If Mario's Madness was the thing that started the Renaissance, Hit Single Reel would be the thing that completed the Renaissance. Because yeah, Hit Single Reel is an amazing mod. It's basically a giant celebration of all the mods that didn't make it, all given one final chance to shine in the spotlight. Hit single, if you will.
Oh, you think you're so clever with that one, don't you?
And despite the names, a lot of the songs are pretty good, honestly. But the one I'm sure a lot of you probably know about is Silly Billy. But yeah, needless to say that Silly Billy is unironically really good. It's one of the best Friday Night Funkin' songs ever produced, and is actually just really good on its own. You wouldn't think a song literally called Silly Billy would be one of the best songs ever produced, but it actually is. It's really good. And it gets better. Probably the thing I'm sure a lot of people know about it for is its lyrical section. And yeah, it's really good. Just listen for yourself. The song itself is also quite notable for Yourself, as Yourself's original creator actually passed away before the mod could even be completed. If you're wondering why he looks like the way he does in the canon universe, it's because he lost his innocence. The original reason though was he was kinda meant to be the creepypasta version of Boyfriend, and also possibly had ties to Lord X, given that his design actually has an X on his t-shirt, a common design element of Lord X. Oh, Lord X is also in this mod as well, although he's very different from what you expect from him. In Tricle, he's on his deathbed and he's basically just singing about, well, it's been a good run.
Well, it's been a good run. I'll see you all in therapy.
There's also another song featuring him, although these are completely different Lord X's. There's also the Starved Squidward song, which previously was known as Bold or Brash. Why is this important? Because it's a play on Fight or Flight, the original Starved Eggman song. Although it was later changed to Daryl Wet Fart because funny. And yeah, a lot of these songs are pretty good.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Oh yeah, I also have to talk about Garden 47, a game hidden inside the mod. Yeah, Garden 47 is, weird. I can't tell if this is the worst thing ever made or the greatest shitpost ever created. Because how do I describe this in a few words? Other than, it's weird. It was also apparently made in Blender Game Engine. Yeah, I had no idea Blender had a game engine either. Apparently it was discontinued, but I had absolutely no idea that was even a thing. Oh, I also probably should mention that this released just before the main game's update. Yep, there was a main game update almost immediately after this thing released. It's just coincidence, but a funny coincidence at that. And yeah, Friday Night Funkin' actually got an update, the weekend update, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Everyone was kind of just surprised that the devs actually were still working on the game and they didn't just take the money and run. No, as it turns out, they were just horribly mismanaged. And thus we kind of end up where we're at now. In a decent spot, really. It's not as popular as it used to be, but there is still quite a bit of good coming out recently. Friday Night Funkin' had its ups, it's had its downs, but notably, it still made it out in the end. Let's just hope the community can actually calm down for once in their lives and stop being toxic assholes. But that's actually all for now. If you enjoyed this video, well, I'm glad. What, were you expecting me to say like, comment, and subscribe? No, go do that on your own. If you want to do that to help me out, be my guest. So with that, I hope to see you all next time, and goodbye.